G'day there, everybody. Welcome to the Valo Microsoft Ignite live show. My name is Daniel Anderson, Partner Manager and Product Evangelist for Valo. Now, this is episode number 5. We've also gone live with a number of episodes previously with a lot of experts in the field in the lead up to Microsoft Ignite, which is just around the corner. A lot of great information, the inside scoop into sessions, into people's backpacks, and all that type of stuff for Microsoft Ignite. And this episode is no exception. We've got none other than David Warner, Microsoft MVP, on the show today, where we're going to have a discussion about everything that's happening in his world, and also stuff about Microsoft Ignite, but also Dave is heavily involved in the Microsoft community as well. So we're going to have a chat about that. Now, Dave's on the bench. We're just going to bring him into the live stream now. G'day, Dave. How are we, mate?
Good. How are you?
I am going very well. Now, where can we find you today?
I am in my home office in Los Angeles, California, where we have lots of smoky air all around us, but things are still going good.
You were just telling me how hot and smoky it is there. Something that we're pretty used to here in Australia anyway. Now, tell me your backdrop. You are a big NFL fan by the looks of it.
Yeah, I'm a big sports fan, hockey and football. Football just tends to take the big approach on the shelf because that was the helmets that I had available. I do have a nice Valo, just to show the Valo love, hockey helmet, right, that I occasionally will sport out and put on. But yeah, it's funny with all the teams' live backgrounds and stuff like that. Everybody's digging all these virtual locations for their teams' backgrounds. I put a great deal of effort into the real deal here to have these. So whenever people are like, "Oh, we've got these virtual backgrounds for you to use," I'm like, "I'm good. I've got the real deal back there." So put up a big crossover kind of collection of football helmets and Microsoft.
Very, very good. Now, mate, tell me, for the people that are watching, tell me a little bit about yourself, your role at your organization, and just a little bit about Catapult.
All right, absolutely. Thank you. So again, David Warner, Microsoft MVP. I live in northern Los Angeles, big passionate about the community, which we'll talk a lot about. Work at Catapult Systems, headquartered in Austin, Texas. So I work remote. Lived in Austin for about 7 years, so I miss a lot of the barbecue and some of the Texas delicacies, if you will. Don't really have out here in California. I'm a principal consultant with them, so I do a lot with our Valo team. We're Valo partners, but also a lot with the PNP team in the community, and try to really promote and socialize that kind of engagement, not only externally, but internally as well. I do office development, a lot of obviously SharePoint framework and list formatting and stuff like that. So passionate about a lot of UI and user experience interactions with the interfaces and everything.
Yeah. Now, with we're talking just before the show. You basically work remotely anyway in your home office, but Catapult have a number of different offices in different locations. How has the company, now I've asked this to most of the guests that have come on, how's the company reacted and adapted, I guess, to not being able to go to that physical office day in and day out?
Yeah, I mean, I think that as technologists in this field, most of us are fairly well equipped with the technology to be able to connect, right? So while we did have physical, or do still have physical offices in Austin and Dallas, Denver, obviously with the pandemic, when it kind of shut everything down, so everybody went home. When I worked in Austin, I would go into the office every day because I liked that interaction with people. Not everybody would, but I would still, even though I lived very close to the office, could have worked from home. Like many did and still do, I went into the office because I liked it every day. I liked being able to physically collaborate with some of my peers, or we would, organize a time to kind of meet up. So for us, having everyone go home and work predominantly from home, obviously the technology was there for us. Teams is there, and we've seen rapid growth in the feature set of teams just since then. Things that weren't even supposed to be coming out until about right now have already been come out and surpassed with new features even beyond that, like the hand raise functionality, right? That was not slated until I think around fall of this year, but it was well brought out early. So I think everybody adopted well. I think what we tried to push was socialization virtually, right? So I think one of the things with me having already been working from home for 4 or 5 years now, when I left Austin and came back to California, the thing that I started doing was scheduling time with my peers just to chat, just to water cooler talk, right? Don't even talk about work. Just, you're going to talk about work naturally throughout the day, but you don't have to talk about work. So schedule some time just to chat and collaborate. And how are your kids and what are you doing? And now a lot of us have the same story, right? Oh, the kids are homeschooled right now. All of that, right? The stories haven't been changing much, but it still is nice to just kind of try to be normal. And so we adapted that way, just trying to have more fun and games, right? Some virtual games and stuff like that.
Yeah, excellent. Now, you do, as we mentioned before, you do a lot of community work. Now, there's the Microsoft community work, and there's a couple of initiatives that you've got up and running. Two of which let's have a quick chat about, and you can tell me a little bit about these initiatives. Comfort in a Cup campaign, and also the community profile of the week. Now they get a lot of attention. Tell me a bit about how that came about.
Absolutely, thanks. So I'll start with the community profile of the week. That started out when I did my session at Ignite last year. So I had a live session, and I really am big on collaboration within the community. As we talked about, we have the technology to connect us from one end of the globe to the other end of the globe. I mean, which is exactly what we're doing right now. Yeah. And so the community is not really like this small little regional user group like we typically have been experienced, maybe pre some of these technological advances. We really are digitally connected to be able to be on a drop of a hat with one another and collaborate with one another. And so for those that are coming into the community, and that happens all the time, we have new ones coming into the community all the time. They don't really necessarily know who or how to find those that are collaborative and inclusive. So I started an initiative that I call M365 Social. So that's kind of the umbrella for my own little personal way to keep everyone connected. So at Ignite, I created a blog post on my site, and M365.social will also take you there. And it kind of lists all of the community members that I've been interacting with and that I know. And of course, I can't include everyone in terms of off my memory, right? So I have a little form for you to fill out if I've accidentally forgotten anyone, and I apologize if I have, right? I'm not perfect. But I want a spot for those that are coming into the community to kind of go, okay, so here's a collection of people that I can interact with. Now, to me also, on top of that, we're all humans in the end of it, right? So, and we'll talk about this a little bit too, but I just was named a Humans of IT ambassador because to me, the human side of it is what oftentimes gets forgotten. We're always blogging and vlogging and webinaring about everything tech, but at the end of it, we're all passionate people who have passionate interests, right? And so I wanted to kind of bring a perspective of the members of the community in a way that others could connect to them. And so the community profile of the week is about just a small glimpse of some of the favorite things that you may have as a community member. What's your favorite pizza topping? What's your favorite drink? Favorite place you visited, a movie, band, car, etc., right? Yeah. Because the next time, and hopefully this will happen again soon, the next time we're at a physical event with one another, that ability to interact sometimes is awkward and uncomfortable, right? People will know certain personalities from the community and want to go up and say hi, or they might have read a blog article. And that kind of just like, after you mention, I love that blog article, you just kind of stand there like, right? Like, I don't know what else to say. But if you found out that all of a sudden you have an interest that they have an interest in, then it's it's something that can break the ice. So there's that community profile of the week combined with a webinar that I also do with Bo Cameron, another MVP and PNP team member, called Community Close-Ups. And we actually spend about an hour with community members and just talk about personal. Where did they grow up? What do they love to travel to? And so you really get the insight to the individual person, which again, when you're at a physical event with them, now all of a sudden you have this common ground to kind of communicate and talk, and you feel like more of a friend than just some outsider who happens to follow their blog or something like that, right? So
Yeah.
the community profile of the week and community close-ups are tightly knit in terms of getting to know the human side of one another in the community, because in the end, we're all humans passionate about something. And the job is a byproduct of that.
Yeah.
So
excellent. Now, if we turn our attention a little bit to Microsoft Ignite now, again, it seems it's a little bit smaller, different format, obviously, not in person or remote and all that sort of stuff. You did some session. You did a session last year. What have you had a chance to look at? The schedule at the moment, is there anything there that is sparking your interest, and anything that you're expecting, or big announcements or highlights, that type of thing?
It is smaller this year because there was no call for speakers and stuff like that. So you have a lot of the table talks, which I think are going to be amazing, because it brings more of that conversational style to the event.
Yep.
And I think that, again, that'll help bring out the humanistic side of everyone, right? Because you'll have more conversations. And I think that that's going to be really cool. It'll be interesting to see how much of this sticks when we do get, hopefully, back to whatever degree of normalcy we have, and we have another in-person event, hopefully. But yeah, to me, any announcements around SharePoint and Office development, SharePoint framework is exciting. There's not any one particular thing I'm looking for, just more extensibility, I think. I mean, as a developer, at heart, you want to be able to fill a gap. And I think with the opportunities that Microsoft provides, there's more and more extensibility that we're always looking for. APIs, we want to know what APIs, you'll hear us talk about API first kind of priorities. So I would say that there's, that kind of excitement or newness gets me excited, as well as seeing things like SharePoint lists, for example, or Microsoft lists, excuse me, as a first-party citizen now. And again, there's not really any magic there. It's mostly SharePoint lists behind the scenes, but making it this first-party citizen now brings forward a lot more adoption. So
beat me to it. I was going to touch on Microsoft lists. You do quite a bit with SharePoint lists. I'll call them SharePoint lists in the past, but now with the introduction of Microsoft lists, these have, I guess, kind of been rebranded, as you mentioned, that they are under the hood SharePoint lists, with a nice wrapper UI and additional functionality, I guess. Do you see the I guess the end user adoption of these being increased? They might have been a little bit hard or cumbersome to use from an end user perspective, but now with the new dashboard and the new UI and templates and all that sort of stuff, do you see that the SharePoint lists taking off again?
I do, because like you said, you get a nice little clean wrapper around something, and it makes it feel fresh and easier to use. And that's really kind of what Microsoft lists are doing for SharePoint lists. What I always appreciated about, especially now with list formatting, is that you can take a list, which still has a ton of value. I know some people try to go, it's just a list. It's just a list, right? But it has a ton of value. You apply a list formatting definition to that, and then you reference that within a SharePoint list web part, and then you do that with 3 or 4 different lists. All of a sudden, you've got this completely custom-looking dashboard that required 0 development. And now, as an Office Development MVP, it hurts my heart a little to have to say that you don't have to write code to get it, right? But it's fantastic, because now everyone is empowered to create amazing looking solutions. And in some cases, you get a lot of criticism about, out of the box, SharePoint is really kind of closed-ended now. You don't have the power that you had with Classic. You hear a lot of that arguments for people that kind of want to live in I want my world fully self-controlled, right? But these are tools, and the constant improvement is getting better and better by Microsoft. And now These are opportunities to create those custom dashboards and custom solutions that look completely custom, but did require the effort that a completely custom solution would normally require.
Yeah. Well, you were telling me you've got this cool Transformers demo of that you do. So we'll have to have you back on, and we'll have to.
Yeah, there you go. Little Parker Prime, the PNP mascot, I converted into Optimus Prime. So.
Very good. Okay, good segue. PNP, Sharing is Caring initiative. You're heavily involved in the PNP side of things. How's all that going? And tell us a bit about your involvement in that and that whole ecosystem.
Okay, great. Thank you. So for those who are unaware, Patterns and Practices is an initiative created by Microsoft, but administered by Microsoft employees and MVPs. And it's a broad spectrum of support and resources and tools. There's community calls. There are things like the CLI for Microsoft 365, which allow you to manage your tenancy from a Mac, from a PC, from a Linux machine. There's things like PNP.js, which is a library for accessing your SharePoint data, graph data, etc. But it also includes, and to most people who hear that, they think, oh, okay, that's really only good for developers, right? But Sharing is Caring is a program and initiative within PNP that is its goal and purpose is to provide hands-on guidance to those in the community that are new, want to learn how to start consuming some of the resources and tools available to PNP, but also contribute, right? There's a huge open source opportunity now for contribution. And this is still kind of a new concept for many in the industry, because you think of Microsoft, you think proprietary, you think closed-ended. You go to docs.microsoft.com, for example, and you think, oh, I'm not an employee. I can't help administer or improve these docs. And it happens. Microsoft is limited on resources like any organization in the world. No one is unlimited. And the technology is moving so fast that there are always ways to improve documentation, as an example. And if you are going to docs.microsoft.com and you see something that could be improved, maybe it's a description, maybe it's a sample or whatnot, you may think, I've got no business doing that. But actually we do. Everyone in the community has not only the business, but the empowerment to make suggested changes. Yeah. The challenge comes with how. How do you do that? Because behind the scenes, they use GitHub to drive all of that documentation. Yeah. And I mean, I admit, even as a developer, you go to GitHub and you start seeing terms like fork and blame and raw, right? And immediately you're like, game over, I'm out. I don't know what I'm doing here.
Yeah.
And then it's open source. So you think if I make a mistake, everyone's going to see what I did wrong and they're going to laugh at me and I'm going to feel strange and stupid and dumb. And none of that is true. So what Sharing is Caring provides is hands-on sessions that walk you through how to do a variety of these things, whether it be providing documentation. Mark Anderson runs an initiative within PNP that's called Community Docs. Yep. And this is not just about editing existing docs. This is about creating brand new guidance documentation by the community for the community. Yeah. And that's completely empowering, right? If you're not a developer, but you want to contribute to the community, that is a way that you can do that. And we have a Community Docs dedicated session that you can attend. We have multiple times throughout the month where we will walk you through hand in hand, step by step, how to do the contributions, how to use some of the tools and resources. And it's really been great because we have new ones coming in all the time and interesting ones, and it's a safe space, right? I think that is where people start getting a little nervous because they think, I'm going to do this, everyone's going to see, I don't want to make a mistake. I mean, none of us want to feel like, oh man, I made a mistake, I look dumb. To make a mistake is human, right? So we all make mistakes, but it certainly helps when you have that safe space and you've got that second set of eyes willing to kind of look over your shoulder, make sure that you're doing it right, and give you the confidence that you may need to know that it is your place to provide guidance and documentation.
Yeah, it's a great look. It's a great initiative, and you guys are doing some great work there. And there's a lot of I'm seeing all the people that I'm talking to. There's a lot more people getting involved in that too, which is a good thing. Now, the last thing I wanted to touch on with you, you're big on the humans of IT stuff, and you're just mentioning that you've become, is it an ambassador?
Yeah, humans of IT ambassador
in that space. Now, while you're not on any table talks or doing that type of thing in Ignite, you are doing something pretty special after Ignite with Tracy as well. So just, tell us a bit about what is happening post Ignite.
Yeah, absolutely. So we are doing the first Humans of IT Microsoft Reactor. Now, typically a reactor is something that happens in person at a reactor location. There's actually reactor locations. But this is going to be a Humans of IT, the first Humans of IT Microsoft Reactor in post-Ignite, but a little bit post-Ignite at like October. And it's going to be dedicated and focused on the community. So it's Tracy and myself are going to be hosting it. We're going to have 2 or 3 guests that have been involved in the community and are going to talk about how others can find a place in the community, because that can be daunting when you're new to an industry or a community and you want to get involved. You start seeing some of these personalities that have been around forever, and you may feel a little starstruck, or you may feel a little bit like, I don't know, how do I get involved? And I'm afraid to throw myself out there and collaborate with them. But if I don't, how would I get involved, and what tools and resources are available for me to get involved? So we're going to be running a Microsoft Reactor. It's a virtual event on how to get involved in the community from that human side, right? Because again, in the end, we are all just humans interacting with one another on a chosen industry that happens to be technology. But it's how we collaborate with one another that makes us successful as we are. And I really think that the Microsoft 365 community is by far the most collaborative community I've ever been a part of.
Yeah. So how do people get involved in that? Where should they go?
Well, we'll be socializing it out. So the Microsoft Reactor team will be socializing. So pay attention on Twitter. Definitely keep up with myself and Tracy and Sean, and I'm sure we can include some of the links in the profile for the video. But yeah, it's be on the lookout for that. Hashtag Humans of IT is always going to help you find some of that Humans of IT topics within Twitter and LinkedIn. So yep, we'll be socializing that out. It's exciting. It'll be fun.
Yeah, good one. Mate, I really appreciate your time. We were discussing before the time difference. So it's almost coming up to 10 a.m. on Tuesday, my time, but it's only Monday from where you are.
It's 5 p.m. Monday, so you're in the future.
It is. So the end of your day. So I really appreciate you taking the time to jump on the show. It was a good chat, and look, I hope that your Humans of IT session post Ignite goes really, really well. As I said, you're doing a lot of stuff in the community, and it's a really good thing that you're doing with your initiatives, but also P&P and that side as well.
Excellent, thank you. Yeah, and thanks for having me on. I appreciate it.
No worries. All right, there we have it, guys. Episode number 5 of the Valo Microsoft Ignite show done and dusted. Dave Warner, great guest, great chat. Once again, thanks for jumping on and having a chat with me today. If you're watching live, thanks for watching. Hope you enjoyed the show. And this will be recorded as well and posted out via the different social channels as well. So once again, thanks everybody for watching. Thanks, Dave. Have a good evening.
Thank you.
And we'll speak later.
All right. Thanks.
Thanks, mate.